Why aren't fighting games more popular? I can save you some time and give you the short answer now. Fighting games, as they are now, are not made for the general gaming audience. They will never outperform the popular multiplayer games of today because there's not enough players out there that will enjoy the current fighting game experience. Even if we had a super wide funnel to have all the gamers try fighting games, I think most of them would quit playing almost immediately. This is because fighting games demand a certain mindset and structure that the majority of gamers do not want. If you want to know more, I can explain myself. There's a lot of talk right now about fighting games as a product and what they could do to be more popular. I saw a few of the videos and discussions about it, and I wanted to give my 2 cents as a fighting game enjoyer. This video will probably be late, so I'm sorry if my opinions and thoughts have already been talked about. Hopefully there will be some new information in here to think about. Also, just a quick plug, if you're new here, my name is Swizz and I'm trying to make at least one video a month, mostly about video games, and I just recently hit 1K subscribers, which is awesome, and I would love it if you could subscribe and help me get to my next goal of 5K. Anyways, so what do I mean when I say fighting games are not for the average player? I mean you have to be a certain type of person to enjoy fighting games. Fighting games are inherently competitive. You must be competitive. You must enjoy the process of learning. You must have an urge for self-improvement and find entertainment and satisfaction in that type of process. You must be self-aware of your own flaws and weaknesses. You must be ready to blame yourself. You must be okay with losing constantly and learning from your mistakes. You must find gratification in outplaying your opponents and winning games. The fun in fighting games for players who play a lot of them is gradual mastery. A majority of video game players are honestly not these kinds of people. Maybe in real life they might have some of these qualities, but they don't seek them out in video games. People want to relax and not stress out over playing video games. Fighting games are, at its core, highly competitive 1v1 games. That's the main content, the main game loop. You fight another person and the better player wins, and that's the fun part of it. Casual gamers are not playing fighting games to be the best. They're playing to have fun and do cool shit with their characters. But in a fighting game format, it will always feel competitive unless a core element of a fighting game is changed. Compare fighting games with another highly competitive multiplayer genre, MOBAs. There's some differences between the two that can make the experience a lot better for players who want a more casual option to have fun with. In a MOBA, you have the option of playing with your friends and sharing wins and losses with them. You can even blame the other random players on your team if you're not fully stacked in a team with your own friends. Not only that, but just the fact that you're playing with your friends already increases the fun you're having because you get to experience the fun with your friends. That's like the whole reason friend slot games exist.
What a shot. Play Valorant right now.
Play Valorant, he says.
But Swizz, what about 2xKO? You can play with a friend together in that game. Yes, you can. And that's awesome. That's actually probably one of the greatest things 2xKO ever did. Unfortunately, there's still a bunch of other things that stop your friends from even wanting to try out the fighting game in the first place. Trying to get your friends into fighting games is so hard. There's already a stigma that exists with fighting games. When people think about them, they think about getting their ass beat by players who have been playing for years. They think the controls will be too hard to do. They don't even want to give these games a chance. But let's say you do finally convince a friend to play a fighting game. What's the first thing they need to do? They pick a character, which is pretty fun, but then they have to go into training mode. They have to go to a mode by themselves, or you can go in with them if the game allows, and then they have to learn their character's moveset, their best moves, maybe a combo or two, and anything special they need to know about the character, or the game itself. But this is already so much downtime where your friend doesn't get to actually play the dang game. But the other options they have are not very helpful for getting them to have fun either. What happens is, I try to get a friend into a fighting game. I tell them they should probably go into training mode and learn how their character works. They say, nah, I don't want to do that, that's boring, I just want to play. So I say, okay, let's play some matches. This game has an auto combo mode, so you can just press one button and do a combo. No, they say, that sounds boring, I want to learn and not use the baby mode. I'm just going to play and learn the controls on my own. Sure, okay, if you think you can do that, then go for it. So the friend will play, get destroyed because they're button mashing and freaking out when they get hit or get too close to the opponent, and they ultimately lose their matches. They might switch to auto combos and give those a try finally, but they still lose a lot of their matches because they aren't thinking about getting that first hit, or blocking, or spacing, so they ultimately lose again. Then they decide once and for all, I knew fighting games are garbage, this is for sweaty nerds, I'm not playing this anymore. Maybe other people have had different experiences depending on your friends, but this happens to me literally every time and I don't know how to fix it. Maybe it's a skill issue, but I can't force patience and a training mindset into my friends. The problem here isn't that fighting games are hard. They're not hard to play. They do, however, have a very different way of learning the game than almost any other multiplayer genre out there. Fighting games are study-based, while other popular games are play-based. You can get better at shooters, MMOs, and even MOBAs for the most part by just playing the game. They don't ask you to go into a training mode by yourself and stay there while you learn what your character does and how you're supposed to play the game. Your aim will naturally get better over time when you keep playing. Sure, you can go to aim labs, but that's for a whole nother tier of competitive players. We're talking about casuals here. In an MMO, you can slowly learn your combos and abilities over time as your character levels up. In MOBAs, your characters have like 4 or 5 spells and a passive, and as for the items, which is the most difficult part, there's pre-made builds where you can slowly learn what all the items and characters do while you continue to play the game. It's not necessary to learn every single item in your build before you can start having fun. Something that I've seen with almost every new player when it comes to fighting games is that they do not want to go into training mode, ever. They hate that shit. It's like repellent to new players. They might hate it more than blocking. They want to learn as they go. You can maybe get away with that style of play, but only if you have some sort of fighting game experience beforehand, or if you spend a little bit of time at first in the training mode to learn your basics. If you have a friend who is actually willing to go into training mode and learn their character, and gets excited about their small improvements even while constantly losing their matches over and over again, you'll have a friend who will be a fighting game player for life. But people hate losing, and nobody wants to get their ass beat over and over and be forced into a losing streak. At least in shooters and MOBAs, you have a whole team who could potentially carry you, and the other team has 5 to 6 players who can potentially ruin the whole game for them. You can win games even if people on the other team are better than you. So you're not going to just lose every single game when you start playing those games. You can feel better learning the game and playing it because you don't just fight one other person one-on-one who is better than you. You can play 100 hours of Overwatch and 100 hours of Street Fighter 6, both with no training mode or watching any videos about how to play the game, and you'll probably improve way more in Overwatch than you would in Street Fighter. Fighting games almost require training mode, and that doesn't feel fun for casual players. Finally, I know a lot of FGC heads are probably going to hate this take, but I do think that simple or modern controls and auto combos built into the default controls are a step into the right direction. Needing to execute a quarter circle for specials just adds another barrier for new players who want to learn the game, but lack the quick reflexes or dexterity to do so. I think a good way to handle this is either Street Fighter's solution to add a modern mode, but have it so that both modern mode and classic have their own pros and cons, or make it similar to how DNF Duel did it, where you can choose to do specials by either inputting the move manually with quarter circles, or use the simple controls. Of course, doing it manually does give you a very small advantage. The main reason I'm saying there should be simple controls is not because I think some people just can't learn motion specials, but because I think it's super important for a new player to be able to instantly go into a match with a new character and not even need to open up a command list to know their character specials. Just a simple direction and special button, and they can see what their character does without having to guess what the motion is or how many special moves their character has. You can probably tell by now that I really hate the idea of needing a training mode, at least for new players. Oh, there's actually one more thing, but this isn't necessarily an issue with the genre of fighting games, but more so with the way recent fighting games have been developed. These games need more content. I know so many people have had this complaint before, but it needs to be said more. Yes, this includes an interesting single-player experience. The thing is, I don't know what that looks like for a fighting game. I feel like we haven't had an answer for the perfect single-player fighting game experience. Besides the single-player content, I think these games desperately need more collectibles and things for people to grind for besides a rank or their own self-improvement. I honestly think battle passes are a step in the right direction, but the way that they are implemented now are severely lacking in anything meaningful that will actually entice people to complete them. The human brain yearns to collect and get cool things. Unique character portraits, unique health bars that your opponent will see, unique super animations, things to customize your character. I know a lot of these are in existing fighting games, but they either want real money to get them, or they aren't implemented in a way where you could show them off to others. Do you want to know the only fighting game I was able to convince my whole friend group to buy and play together? Soul Calibur 6. And the deciding reason for everyone was the fact that you can make custom characters. They don't care if the characters can be played in ranked or not, they just wanted to make their own characters. It was also super helpful that Soul Calibur is very friendly for players who prefer to just button mash. You can mash the attack buttons in combination with directions and see some cool animations and attacks. Then they start asking, how do I block? How do I grab? And they're slowly learning their characters and the controls as they play. Movement is not too complicated, and the game's core mechanics are not hard to execute. Soon they start seeing some funny moments in their matches, hilarious character reveals, and they're having a blast. Soul Calibur 6 didn't sell well as far as I know, but it was a hit with my group of friends that I couldn't get to try out a fighting game with me, and it was all thanks to that character customization to reel them in. Fighting games need more than just skins to customize their characters. People are going to want to feel unique when playing their characters. They want to spend time on things outside of just fighting people, which means there needs to be more than just fighting game modes. Another hot take, I think that lobby avatars and having lobbies to run around in is a step in the right direction as well. Let people customize their avatars and see other players. But these lobbies are always so fucking dead. There's never anything to do besides walk around, chat, post stickers, and do emotes. Remember Gaia Online? Are you old enough for that? They should make these walkable chat rooms where you could play mini games with other players, have events, watch matches together and let people gamble on winners with in-game currency, have team battles that you can set up within the lobby. It feels like lobbies within fighting games are so bare bones and lacking anything to do, and that's why people hate them. They're pointless right now. Last thing, and probably the most important thing, please add more characters. Characters and roster size are probably the most important part of a fighting game, and so many games now just skimp on the roster size. A super sick fighting game roster not only makes fighting game fans go crazy, but it'll bring in so many new players who love a character's design. Think about all the people that are Guilty Gear fans out there that don't even play the games. They just love the characters and designs so much that they want to participate in the fandom, and the games just repel them away because they get destroyed anytime they want to play a match. I know there's budgets and deadlines, but if only fighting games can release bigger roster sizes, we would live in a utopia of a world. You mean to tell me that in Marvel Tokon, a 4v4 Marvel fighting game where Marvel has hundreds of heroes and villains, and we're getting fucking 20 characters, and only 4 more are coming for the year of DLC? One whole team's worth? Marvel Rivals is currently at a roster of 47, and we still have people who are complaining that we don't have staples like Ghost Rider and Doctor Doom in there. They're also coming out with a new character every month, and that release is making people come back to the game over and over and over every month. Except for the Elsa Bloodstone one, I think she was just too OP. I feel like my point about fighting games not having enough content is turning into a rant, so I'll stop it there. So where does this all leave us? I don't really expect fighting games to be popular, and I don't think they'll beat out the likes of shooters and MOBAs simply because they just appeal to a more specific demographic of gamers. And that's completely okay. If we were to change fighting games at their core to appeal to a broader audience, I can almost guarantee that the games will be unrecognizable and would not play the way we love them now. We would have a sort of Smash Brothers platform fighter fighting game hybrid with team battles or something. Maybe the FGC should just be happy with the genre not being the most popular. It's kinda like music. What if I wanted my favorite hyperpop metal band to be the most popular band on the planet? Well, if they became famous, it won't be because people suddenly started liking hyperpop metalcore. It would probably be because the band came out with a shitty song or album that completely changed their style to fit the songs on the radio. Do we really want fighting games to sell out and just turn into something different so they could be popular? Maybe what we should be doing is focusing on making fighting games the best they can be. Support the games that do it right, make your opinion heard by the developers. If the fighting games are good, the FGC will grow naturally and the right people will find them. Hey guys, thank you again if you watched the video all the way through. Please leave a like or subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. I can't guarantee that my future videos will ever pop up for you later, so subscribing and turning on notifications for them would help a ton. Also, if you have the option to hype the video, I'll be eternally grateful. Anyways, let me know in the comments if you think fighting games should change at all, and if there's something you think that can be different to help make them more popular. All the support you guys keep giving me gives me motivation to keep going and not give up. See you in the next video.